as we conclude a day dedicated to love. Although every day is a love day for the 5D collective. Let's talk about love and relationships. How easy they are for a 5D mystic, a spiritual, mindful person. That's because we're secure to be ourselves. And so this is involving the secure partners, attractive, not the non-secure ones. No, actually, when we meet emotionally insecure people, we know about the red flags. We also know how not to treat them in a mean way, because really it's not their fault that they're half safe and that they don't want to go to people like Patrick Tiahan. And the only people who tell other people what to do with their life are also people who could use Patrick Tiahan. Is a really good childhood trauma survivor, I would say healing and healed therapist. And I say healing because I don't know how he feels about that work. But at the end of the day, the emotionally insecure person will be spotted by the fact that they don't have healthy boundaries. So reiterating them is not hard. Immunity isn't enough to be disillusioned. Got told, look, we're not going to be friends in the best way possible. But I did acknowledge them with my eye gaze so that they wouldn't feel not decent. And they said, at least you looked at me. So when you meet the people who judge with charges because they have a projecting adaptive child part, you know that, yeah, they're not partner material for sure. And it's not something that makes me think of anywhere near Lucifer, not even close. In fact, to this day, thank you, Jesus, for teaching me already at the way back when how to forgive. And Stephen Porges, who reconfirms, yes, Maria, biologically rude people, they can't hear you. So when you meet facades, just remember adaptive child parts, as Terry Real has pointed out in some of his quotes that I've read to you. It is a child's version of what a grown-up is supposed to look like, and it tends to be perfectionistic and unforgiving. That's because non-bilaterally integrated mystics and spiritual and not mindful people will be structurally dissociating, and as you explain to them what it is, they'll say, no, I'm not. I know I'm conscious, and it'll be like, you're a pause self. That's what this is, and you're not actually processing the emotions. You're just throwing them at me because your dysregulated nervous system also learned this as a 0-1-year-old, attached, panicky, a 3 to 7 shame submissive, and you didn't go and reparent yourself with someone like Patrick Tiahan. But I'm not going to go explaining that to them. In fact, as a mystic, who some people will call ourselves healers, I don't, because you heal yourself. That I'm a Reiki master and a Akashic record reader, yes. That I am a channeler and Anima Mundi and God, and I can bring to you information that will be supportive, definitely. But please, I am not the reason why you will gain access to that which you are part of. That actually is very egoic, and those who are spiritual bypassers are spotted by any of the 5D mystic enlightenment soul age group community. And that Zen master, he is there for the ones who are of the spirituality soul age group, who keep learning about each other and their own self through those interactions. And really, you'll notice it by their level of energy and the fact that they don't do the depths of emotions, but instead they call it laundry. I love to use my prefrontal cortex. That's why I don't get rewarded every time I will have cried or gotten angry. Meaning I don't be like, oh my God, you went through hell. No, that. No. Actually, I'm alive. I'm alive. Like, I'm alive, not pseudo-alive. So experiencing the depths of emotions for some of us, that's why mindfully living. And as a practitioner, I mean, if I didn't know how to do it, that's why I really don't believe the Zen master is mindful at all. And he doesn't know how emotions work or how neuroscientists explain. It's not supernatural to be in the flow state. And I know how to tell you about the selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness, and the amazing when you're expanding. My gosh, does it feel good? There's no shadow light part. No. The 4D continue with being highs and lows because they don't learn how to get out of their 16-year-old fight response. Okay, so anyways, enough about the ones who are low frequency, because they're not energy vampires. They just have a body that's with distress, like the fancy lady in a suit. So eventually they stagnate because your body is getting tired as you age already. You can only imagine if you are consistently navigating self and others by scanning, because your default mode network will do that as long as you are a not securely attached person. While when you are a non-traumatized person, my brain works integrated. I look at you, I'm all happy, gooey inside, and even if you're missing out, I'm like not going to be perceiving it as torture, because compassion, not empathy. I need empathy to have compassion, but I'm not using empathy. Those would be those mirror neurons, which some of the sciences say they don't have enough proof of them. But basically, as Dr. Daniel Siegel answered my question about, hey, so I pick up a lot on the relational field, and how do I work with that? He said, you know what, Maria, I think you're not differentiating enough. Okay, I know what that means. And also, as a differentiated self, a 3-year-old, nobody can tell me how not to be me, because My mother couldn't tell me, and that's my primary caregiver. So when you love yourself first as a child, and you know self-respect as a child, and you grow up to know that a grown-up who wants to try and shame you by looking at you and saying you're bad, and you think of your own parent who told you that is a disrespectful grown-up, and you learn though how to be, if you can't say something nice, say nothing. So you get also taught manners by that same caregiver. You look at a grown-up with the eyes of a 3-year-old that doesn't bow down in shame, and no, actively, that simply sits, God told me that you're my brother and sister, and I know about integrity, humility, and Jesus told me to forgive. And my mother told me to be polite. And so also my body's 4'9", so it actively will pull me back so that I can run away for safety. But other than that, I don't feel ashamed. Actually, I will be very upset. No, I will be very sad for you. As you grow up, you become mature. This is what a secure attachment, empowered, functional child adult can tell you. So no matter what comes your way, you're like, wow, bring it on. When it's personal, it's because it's that which is Manny, Diego, Sid. But see, the fun part about being an empowered feminine is that even when it hurts, it doesn't hurt, because you're like, well, I mean, you know, when disagreements happen, like my twin, she disowned me at the age of 8. I found out that can't happen. So as an 8-year-old, I'm sort of like, ha ha, you can't disown me. And I'm sure that we continue doing what we always do still now. But my point is, a perfect stranger or not a stranger, so love, it's easy, it's not hard, and we don't create saga or drama. But that's because the securely attached person isn't half safe. They're completely safe and secure to be their true self, which is why our relationships grow. The consistent contingent communicator. Okay, so not a race, but definitely secure partners attract each other. And as long as you are a person who's mindfully aware of yourself with empowerment, you're not going to take shit from no one. People who allow themselves to be treated certain ways, that's why Patrick Tiahan is out there trying to help them, and Terry Real. Okay, so red flags are easily spotted. We will point them out in a very respectful manner with equanimity, our tone. If we do get reactive, we know how to apologize. My tone, 3-year-old, she comes up. And every now and then, it'll come up. So whenever I have any triggers, it's not something I'm ashamed of. I just say, okay, you know what, you're right. When, on the other hand, I know that they're not necessarily right, I don't really care that they're right or wrong, because in that case, my mother taught me how to be polite. And so I will be a person who will apologize, because humanly speaking, I do care about your feelings. And I don't have to be right, because that's where the functional adult isn't doubting oneself. I'm not an adaptive child. I'm a functional child adult. I know what Maria stands for. I know what I will have brought. And I know that I'm flawed and imperfect, and that I have a tone. Also, we all live subjective realities. So I will respect that you have a different definition for hypocrisy, like my friend, my facade friend, who called me a hypocrite after I had called him a hypocrite. And he told me why he thinks I'm a hypocrite. It's because I believe in this and that. And I'm like, well, I like knowledge. So yeah, I mean, I'm not dumb. I didn't tell him that I'm not dumb. I'm just like, yep, I actually do believe in this and that, because anyone who's grounded in reality actually will know that anything that comes out of their mouth can be falsifiable, because a smart brain knows it. Stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. So when you're a bilaterally integrated brain, your default mode network doesn't scan Maria and you to get these. And when you love knowledge, it's because you're a seeker, which is also why you know exactly who shares good data and who shares golden nuggets, which is also why you know the enamored with themselves and the one focus, they contribute. So do the spiritual bypassers, because they hold on to those stories, because they become very grounded in, so rigidity. Anyways, let me leave that aside. So together, the 5D Collective, we come together as empowered individuals, and we are secure partners. It's straightforward. We love each other for who we are. We share a life of meaning and connection beyond our solo self, and it's an honor to share with you that on this lovely love day, and to know that more people will be enjoying the kingdom of God, meaning having their body and the seed of enlightenment, thanks to living a restorative, self-aware, accountable, regulating, mindful life as human beings. And then for the mystics, we consistently maintain our clairs, psychic gifts, spiritual gifts, Akashic record readers, all of that, which is spiritual growth. We don't lose any, because science explains that there's no demons in the bodies of anyone. No, we actively understand why those who are not in their ventral energy, they're not anchored in it, need therapy first, and then they will learn how to be able to choose if they want to stay anchored in ventral, or do like the Zen master does, or other people. I'm a different about self-help. I think it's crap. I think life should be easy every day. I mean, really, that's your take, but the whining, that was your opportunity to expand your window of tolerance to window welcome, and not do that. I mean, you can choose. That's your choice. Your choice is temporal junction or prefrontal, and actively getting 5 different exercises to do and replace that, because you're not going to change unknown, unexpected, unwanteds, but you can work with the tone. And so be like, so change. No, at a certain point, you're basically consistently allowing yourself to build what is called a resilient, restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. So no, when you're a whole self and child parts are asleep, as Dr. Daniel Siegel informed, they just continue to be there. And as my lovely teachers have informed me, it's that when they come up, we know our child parts, which is why we say, yep, you know what, I'm so sorry, I did get into a mood right now, but it's okay, I'm good now. Is it good? Good, good. And it's not suppression, it's actually okay. So securely attached people, we love to love and live and laugh and learn and expand, and we're mindfully and somatically aware individuals. So we share from the open-heartedness of ourselves, our vulnerability with friends, family, lovers, neighbors, neighborhoods. We walk the streets with integrated brains, restorative embodiment selves, and that's why we are anchored in that which is a coherent state, the ventral energy. Your higher self is in the lead, so is your prefrontal. So the physiological state of compassion is what you are consistently emanating. There will be one of 2 ways people will respond to that, which will be welcoming their own fragments and shadows and not projecting them, or the opposite. But the opposite doesn't really mean this thing about my spirit getting their demons. No, it's just that I'm a non-traumatized person who has the capacity to metabolize all the emotions and thoughts that come up. And so when you're in the presence of me and you do this, am I decent enough to be saluted? I'm not reactive. Now, if I do get in any way, shape, or form charged, because that's what's going to take place, to be reactive, there's only 2 people who actively have me get reactive, because that's the 3-year-old of me. It's why it's very important for people who do have trauma to go to therapy. And then once they have enough of that space where they can pause, they can observe, witness, narrate their solo self, their core, their narrative relational self. Now we have a human being in front of us, not a paused self that is in structural dissociation or cognitive dissonance, because they will be able to handle sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, affects, meanings, the experiences, behaviors. So they won't throw it, because now they have chosen, I don't want to bring forth my adaptive child part in the room. I don't need to be controlling. I also don't want to bring my maladaptive patterns. I don't want to do fucking drinking, drugging, or inner outer critic. I don't want to do the family in the head, is what Dr. Daniel Fox calls it. Okay, so you consciously choose to bring yourself forth if you want. You don't have to. 3D, 4D are living narratives. That's why ignorance is bliss. Some people are going to stay within the ignorance is bliss, and that's where God is benevolent. Because I, as a human being, understand the human secondary consciousness. It's called the human dilemma, according to the therapist. I call it a condition, because the inner growth mindset is what I educate, teach, what I've done, and also because, I know God again, and darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's not something I'm oblivious to. Marcus Aurelius gave me the answer to my concern. So your higher self leads, you pursue integration, and that's very easily if you are a conscious being, and if you have struggles, that's where the therapists help people to learn to love themselves first. For us, we are functional child adults. We are anchored in ventral energy through mindset daily, through mindfulness practices daily, and mindset skills daily. So sifting that which is Dr. Daniel Siegel is the mindset lens. So you can say, yep, Maria's here with her attachment category, her temperament, her personality patterns, but with that awareness, I'm not only that. And as a mystic, yeah, exactly. That's why channeling is very straightforward. And channeling with humility, integrity. So psychic gifts, spiritual gifts, intuitiveness, Holy Spirit, anima mundi, heart of the sky. You put it all in one box. The ones who don't like it, they won't like it. They're like the flat earthers. They need a group. They need a herd. That's the thing. And they're rigid and unforgiving, and they think with left alone, which is why they continue using prove, I'll prove, right, wrong. And they're just continuing with what is uninteresting. They're cut off from pure consciousness, purusha. Monkey brain, dull brain, butterfly brain, one enamored with themselves and one focus. It's very clear to smart brain and a 5D mystic brain. So empowered feminine doesn't have questions, because empowered feminines, we know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to that which is spirit and source. A smart one, a wise one. I heard him recently, it was last week, as he gets asked this question. So what about the future with AI? Do you think negative or positive, the person says. And a conscious person, empowered masculines and feminines, will know the truth, neutrality and duality, which means neither positive nor negative. Also, the truth is God always wins, meaning source, meaning the essence of what is, that which breathes, consciousness. Machines are made from metal, meaning that you can't replace that which is an intelligence which you can't break, dark matter, dark energy. The scientists look into it. That's why science, spirituality, they say the same thing for a person who does not have questions about darkness, into the unknown. It is completely exciting for a person that has faith, because it's not the words, again, it's a frequency. And the frequency is of love. And the frequency never lies. But the frequency for the empowered feminine is something we don't share with all. So, again, every one of you is a different individual. And I'm integrating a little bit of channel guidance because I know we skipped that for this week for my lovely listeners. But the love day is enough for me to know that you're all on that path to consistently knowing how to bring forth expansion of consciousness, love. That's thanks to your own state of coherence, thanks to having healthy self-worth and empowered inner child adults. And that's because you use your prefrontal, whether you're still getting the hang of it, but your default mode network, you're slowly learning how to downregulate it, is how I'm going to explain it to you. So being yourself mindfully, flawed with integrity. As Michael Jordan points out, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. So when we get into any relationship, it's always with our true selves, and that's the only way it's going to work. You ask me not be myself, basically, it won't work at all. When you meet adaptive child part people, they're not safe because they are not even their true self. It's a pause self who's living their trauma time on a wheel. And 3D, 4D have committed to stagnating. And there are others who can consistently choose, but at a certain point, you're just a wheel, which is why that takes you either to therapy or not. And the reality is, again, ignorance is bliss for those who are not capable to explore the depths of what is a body and mind. And that's why God is good. So the heaven in your body is if you get a person who can open their heart and to yourself. And that means regulating your nervous system and consistently doing it. We have people who don't want to do personal development, self-help, because they're good with that which they've uncovered. So they're now functional adults. As Terry would say, they have conditions. As Patrick Tiahan would say, they also have conditions. And the collective that instead consistently expands, we know of different conditions. It's called unconsciously loving, with flaws, with imperfections, having a good time, because as long as it's a mental and emotional interaction that we can expand ourselves from, that's good. And that's because the only time we would use our fists, meaning our protective in the sympathetic, is if we're in physical danger. So other than that, your brain and your body, they work really great with good stress when you are a person who's integrated and restorative. And that's where you won't doubt the body, because the gut always tells us when you're an empowered feminine. To get here is not how it works for me. For me, I was consistently here. The person that leads me is my body, and it's my biology, humanly speaking. Science explains the three, which is also where I had a funny story for you, and we'll conclude with this. But this was where I was a kid growing up, and somebody told me that corners are not safe because I will head towards corners, is what I will have told them. I like small spaces when I feel threatened. And I think it was a he, or I don't know, I don't remember. But they said, that's not safe. You want to try and get to an exit, Maria. And my birthday last year, I noticed that my body, because I got a surprise birthday, got to go towards the exit. I said, "Good job, body." And it was funny because I actually, I told it that it did a good job, even though obviously it's my body. But, this is where I love to bring in the interpersonal neurobiology from Dr. Daniel Siegel and all the attachment trauma, because it helps to explain to you your human existence, humanity. And for those of a whole self, mindfully living people, you're like, yep, common sense. But for mystics, it helps you to become the embodiment of what you already are perceiving. If you are mentally, emotionally, and physically mastering, you will perceive as you become one with source, Akash, with that which is the intelligence, which is love, which is bliss, which Sadhguru compares to wine. It's not wine. It's bliss. It's pure bliss. But Sadhguru is not an empowered feminine, is how I'm going to say it. I believe he considers himself an empowered masculine, although we have both. But that's where I'm a feminine. I don't speak for the masculine. So the energetic imprint of a feminine, what I can say is bliss is pure love. And it's something that is the restorative embodiment explained by the somatic therapists. And you feel safe and secure like a little cotton ball. When you see those pictures of those babies that are all, so that womb. And this is why the feminine is different when it's when we're expanding and becoming more. But that's for another time. So, in the meantime, happy Valentine's Day, happy Love Day. Here's to celebrating true love, and here's to supporting our lovely human species to continue expanding with securely attached people, integrated brains, and bringing that coherent state here. And continuing to understand that 3D, 4D has a role too, and some people are not able to explore the depths for one reason or another. They could, but that's a personal choice that they get to make, whether from the angle of good therapists and scientists, or the angle of forgiveness and love and coming together with that, which is all of spirituality that today comes together. And spirituality and science is, again, we come together as a whole, saying we walk the planet and want it to continue thriving for the future. So we want togetherness. The ones who don't want it, we again allow ourselves to try to have good conversations intellectually and to leave that respecting boundaries stuff, okay, and the laws. We keep voting for the laws. So thank you again for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.